Why hello there, furries, ferns, and furnaces! Today, I'm going to be taking pride a bit too far in Minecraft. Now, some people tell me I do that on every video anyways, but this video is different because this time I'm actually trying. So there I was looking at some screenshots of people doing some very interesting things with World Gen, and I just couldn't help but think to myself, okay, how am I going to beat this? And I don't even know if I did pull it off, but I started to think to myself, hey, you know how the grass changes colors based on the biome? Well, what if we were to tap into that and cover the grass in pride flags? And so, yeah, that's basically what I've been doing the past couple weeks. This project is a bit of a strange one because, as of the point of burning out, I actually feel pretty satisfied with it, which is a very uncommon thing for me. Now, this doesn't just cover the world in pride flags. No, it goes way above and beyond. The whole thing is completely data-driven. So, if you want to change certain things about it, you can. For example, you can add any new flags that you want, but you can also modify anything about the existing flags. You may notice that there are some not as common flags showing up, and, well, to keep things a little more consistent, yeah, I made it so that they are actually less common, and you can change how common each flag is. For example, here I just loaded a pack that makes the trans flag much more common and also replaces it with a slight inverted version. Which I guess you could have just changed the weight on the normal trans flag to 0 and then add a different one, but whatever. You can also change the overall density of flags and the sizes. For example, here I've made it so that the maximum size is quite a bit smaller and there's just a lot more open space. A nice little detail is that the density actually accounts for the sizes of flags. So the density essentially just means, on average, how many flags should be covering a certain spot. But quite possibly one of the coolest things about this mod is just the extreme amounts of optimization there are. The main idea of how the mod works is that, the world is broken up into chunks just like normal, and flags can spawn wherever, but each chunk would need to search all of the surrounding chunks to figure out what flags intersect with it. So the naive way is to do it exactly like that, but this mod uses a much more advanced algorithm. Now remember, the density is literally, on average, how many flags should be covering a given spot, and then, the maximum size is for the diagonal. Well, if we set the density to 1,000 and the maximum size to 100,000, this is the result. And as you can see, yeah, the chunks are loading pretty fine. And for reference as to how powerful my computer is, yeah, every once in a while, I accidentally forget to close Minecraft before opening Celeste, and my entire computer hangs for about 5 minutes. So yeah, this is really good performance for pushing the settings far beyond anything that could ever be even remotely reasonable, and doing it on my computer. Another neat little detail is that the flags are ever so slightly translucent. I don't know if YouTube compression is going to get rid of this, but you can see this rainbow flag behind this non-binary flag. And again, the translucency is completely data-driven, so you can get rid of it, increase it, whatever you want. One of the weirder challenges I had, though, with this project was getting the distribution of sizes correctly. So you can actually change how that's distributed, but I wouldn't recommend going with anything other than the default. The default is codenamed per exponential, per meaning perceived. It essentially means that if you were to take the logarithm of all the sizes and account for the friend paradox, then they would be uniformly distributed. The friend paradox, at least in this case, it means, yeah, the bigger flags, you see them more often. So to make it look like they come in equal amounts, you actually need way more of the small flags. Now, just to be clear, I'm not trying to make any sort of statement by including or not including certain flags, nor by how common each flag is. Honestly, I think I spent about a total of 5 minutes coming up with the default weights for the flags, and I just went with, yeah, that looks good. Personally, I'm a pretty big fan of the idea of having it mostly the common flags, and then every once in a while you get a rare one. If there's one thing I would add on to the mod, it's adding a lot more just extremely weird niche flags and just setting their weight to extremely low. it adds a little bit of extra flavor to the world, you know? Now, to actually store the flags, well, obviously we're going to use some sort of image file, but that's the cool part. We're not just using any image file, we're using a special file called SVG, which SVG is special because instead of storing things as pixels, it stores it as actual shapes. Now, if it happens to be just stripes, then it ends up not really mattering much anyways, but for flags that have weird stuff, such as circles and triangles, well, this ends up working out really well. It also lets us do something called anti-aliasing, which is where we get these sort of half pixels on the borders of colors. Now, personally, I find that the anti-aliasing only really improves the quality of flags that actually have circles on them. So, by default, I have it where the flags with circles have anti-aliasing and all of the others do not. But of course, again, it's fully data-driven, so you can change that however you want. Now, there are a couple of unfortunate limitations. For example, it does not change based on the world seed, because it's a client mod, and turns out a lot of servers don't really like letting you have access to that sort of information. So I just made it so that you can put a seed into the pack in case you want to change things up every once in a while. The other thing I was thinking of is making it biome dependent, either by reseeding it based on the biome, but better yet, changing the distribution based on the biome so that I could have a bunch of gender fluid flags in the ocean, and then have a bunch of intersex flags on like coastlines, because that's where the land intersects with the water. Speaking of which, I may have prepared a slight montage of random jokes related to the trans agenda. Wait, trans agenda? But I don't got agenda. Well, technically, I have gender, but I don't have a gender. Oh, gender? You were looking for some gender? Sorry, come back tomorrow. I'm all out of gender for today. Look, Mom, I'm jumping on a lesbian. Look, Mom, I'm jumping on a slightly more detailed lesbian. You see, most people are attracted to like one gender and have a lot of jokes, but then you've got some people who are attracted to lots of genders, but there's only one joke. Oh hey, it's the flag that made me realize my safe search was disabled. I got a lot of naked superheroes. I don't know if I'll be able to outrun those guys. Now, if only I had that ace up my sleeve. Where did No, I left it in the ocean. No! Hey there, I was wondering if you could tell me how to get to the gay store? Oh, just follow the giant arrow on the ground? What? Oh, that giant arrow on the ground. Okay, thanks. You know that whole visual effect where like you have a bunch of things in 3D space and then from a certain perspective they all line up? Well, now you get to do that with jungles. Like, from a distance, this looks like just some big old mess of colors. It's not a mess, it's just a mess. So long, gay Bowser. Oh, right, I forgot they changed it to bye-bye. Somewhere over the rainbow on the sea, there's a biome I've heard of where all the trans are free. Somewhere over the rainbow, flags are blue. Black, purple, white, and pink, and all genders do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a gay and wake up with them all away in prison. Those fascists melt like lemon drops inside the bellies of queer tops. It's for our freedom. Somewhere over the rainbow, pride flags fly. Flags that all seem to cry that trans rights are human rights.